I started telling everyone I'm moving to America, and I came by myself. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a job. Just ended up being homeless, living on the street of New York.
Wow.
She has created a brand that is recognized worldwide. Metta Risdal bring in millions with her tequila brand.
The queen of tequila.
Metta Risdal. Where did the seed of entrepreneurship come for you?
I grew up in Norway. I wouldn't say it's the ideal if you want to be an entrepreneur. Fear in my parents of not being able to pay for the bills, to lose power, to not have heat in the winter. When I decide to do something, I go all in. 3 jobs at the same time. I was doing all of it. If you're young and healthy, I would say take on an extra job. Move to wherever that location is so you can be surrounded by other like-minded people.
So then what gets you inspired to then start the tequila brand?
I started going to Mexico, and I really did fall in love with tequila. So I really still felt that there was a gap in the market for really good organic tequila.
What's been the hardest part of creating the brand?
I'm really going door to door. They say, oh, come back some other time to get rid of you. What they don't know about me is like, I will actually show up again. It definitely was not easy. It really wasn't.
Why should people try your tequila?
Good question.
Before we get into this epic interview, I have one quick ask. Well, we've had the privilege of reaching millions of people on the show. The data shows that almost 80% of you guys who watch the show aren't yet subscribed. So if you could do me one quick favor and click that subscribe button right now, it would mean the absolute world to us. Because when you hit subscribe, not only are you allowing us to grow the show, get bigger guests, ask better questions, but you're allowing us to honor our commitment to do everything in our power to help you take your life, your business, your health, your relationships to that next level. And with no further ado, enjoy the show.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Passionate Few podcast. Today we have an incredible interview because we're going to hear the story of none other than Metta Risdal, because she's going to share with us her incredible journey in entrepreneurship, as well as her brand new product and some advice that you guys can learn along the way. With no further ado, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Omar. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, absolutely. I know we're doing this here in Las Vegas.
Yes.
So I'm glad we were able to make it happen last minute.
Me as well.
So take me back. Before you became this entrepreneur, you have this major ambition. I know we talked about you came from humble beginnings.
Yes.
But take me way back. Where did you sort of grow up, and where did the seed of entrepreneurship come for you as a kid?
Yeah, I grew up in Norway. And, you know, Norway, of course, is a wonderful country. It's a wonderful place to live. But I wouldn't say it's like maybe ideal if you want to be an entrepreneur for entrepreneurship. So me, like a lot of others, you know, were bullied in school and kind of felt, you know, like weird maybe, or just different, you know. I wouldn't say I felt weird, but in some ways I maybe was, you know, more confident in some ways, but just like very different, right? Yeah, bullied in a way where I just like wanted to get away and do my own thing. So I was kind of actually had that mindset from young. Even though maybe my upbringing and the way I grew up, you wouldn't think I would have that mindset, but in the back of my head I did. And I was going to the library and reading all these early business books, you know, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, like these kind of books. And
did you have any siblings growing up?
Yes, I have 2 sisters. They're both older than me. And they're wonderful. They're my good friends. They really enjoyed going to church all the time, and I not so much for me. So now once in a while I enjoy it, but back then it was kind of like, you know, I was like, oh, it's so boring listening to a guy talking, you know, for an hour, and I don't really understand it. So yeah, I think I always had like a different mindset a little bit, and just other dreams and hopes for myself.
Was it hard to relate to people when you were younger because you were so different?
I think so, yeah.
Especially there. Yeah.
Yes, there, exactly. So I guess it goes back to now what people are saying, like put yourself in another environment and be surrounded by other people a little bit more like-minded. It's good to have friends and, you know, people that are different. But I think when you feel you want to accomplish something or do something, and so, yeah, I was 7 years old when I started telling everyone I'm moving to America. And I would tell my parents' friends when they would have friends over, and everyone was laughing, like, what's up with this girl? Like, how are you going to do that? Everyone like, no, you can't do that. But I was like, no, I am going to do that, you know?
Where did you get that ambition? Where was it sparked?
I think maybe
Mom
my
or dad?
aunt. No, none of my parents. Yeah, I think my aunt. I probably had a little bit of my parents had a little difficult time with me when I was like maybe from 11 or 12 years old till I was like 14, I would say. So I stayed with my aunt. She lived on a cabin in the woods in nature. I would stay with her on the weekends, and I loved it. I loved staying with her because, you know, she never like shut me down. She let me dream, and she would listen, and we would like look in magazines together. And, you know, she never said, no, you can't do that. She believed in me. So I think we all need that one person that, you know, believe in you, if it's a family member or a neighbor or a teacher maybe. So that she was the one for me that did that. I didn't have anyone else around me that I think they think I was crazy. Yeah.
What was your first entrepreneurial hustle or first side project?
I did a lot of stuff. Like I was picking in Norway at the time, you could pick raspberries and strawberries and nuts that we would send to Germany at the time. So we were doing that. But actually, at the age of 6 years old, I don't know if they would call it child labor, but I really wanted to. Like, they couldn't stop me not to. I would, because I was in school 3 days a week, and I don't think my parents could afford anyone to take care of me. So I had to come with my mom to her job, which is like a landscaping business. So I was working as well, and her boss would pay me. So that was my very first job when I was 6 and 7 and 8. And I wanted that because they suggested, oh, you can go to the neighbor house maybe once in a while. But I was like, no, I want to make money because I have to save. I got to go to America one day.
So what was the inspiration with going to America one day? Where was that planted? Movies?
You know, and that's the other thing, like my cousin, they had all the channels in their house, but in my house, we only had one channel. We didn't have cable. We had the one local channel. So I didn't get to watch those shows that my cousin did, but a little bit maybe. So maybe it was from that, and maybe again, my aunt a little bit. Because she was always talking about America, you know. So I think I must have picked it up from something like that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool. Now, what about your first entrepreneurial hustles? I know you mentioned you tried some things earlier. Did you have any failures along the way while you were trying certain things? Like, take us back to what were some of the experiments in business you tried early on?
Yeah, it was hard. I did have a skincare company, you know, that I was doing okay. I ended up selling some of actually the recipe that I had made with the chemist, but the company wasn't doing well. And I think what I learned from that was I was doing it all alone. So I didn't really have a team. And as we know, if you want to go big, you can't really do it all alone. It's really difficult to get it to the net. You can, you know, maybe do a little bit and maybe bring in enough just for yourself. But again, if you want to bring it to sell it one day or to do it big, you got to have a team obviously behind you, and most, you know, the best way, even other people with experience within it, so you don't have to, you can learn from them instead of just having to do it all myself.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's why that one didn't do so well. But other jobs that I was doing early on when I moved to America was I was a bartender. You know, I had a lot of like other jobs in Norway where I was a cleaning lady. I put an ad in the newspaper and I would take the bus for an hour just to do that on the weekends.
And that's super uncommon there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I was 13, and that was sort of like the picking berries, everybody could get that job, but the job about putting an ad in the newspaper at 13 to wanting to be a cleaning lady for a stranger, because I did it for my grandmother too, obviously.
Right.
She paid me a little bit, but this was like, oh, they're paying me to take the bus for an hour, 2 different buses to be a cleaning lady.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it, but the one thing about me, I hate cleaning, but when I decide to do something, I go all in. So I did like a really good job because she was, raving about it years after, which shocked my parents and my sister because I hate cleaning. But it's when I decide to do something and go all in, I do it,
Now,
Yeah.
now, what about things that like after that entrepreneurial, the first couple things you tried, where did you start to like get momentum and like compound your skill sets? Like, was there a certain business you did, or like how many have you started from then till now?
Not really, maybe until I then went into real estate early on. I got my real estate license, so I did a little bit in New York. I didn't like being a real estate broker because I was mostly doing rentals,
So you were an agent first and then broker?
Yes, yeah.
Is that how you made your initial capital, or how did you initially make money?
That's exactly how I made a little bit of my initial capital. Because
As a real estate agent?
Yes, because not actually as an agent, but then investing in properties. So buying.
Where did you get the capital to invest in real estate?
So that I did get from the money. I was doing both. I was a bartender and I was being a real estate agent as well as I was a bartender.
Wow.
So I was saving up, and I was also working in a showroom, like kind of a modeling showroom, but it's more like the same designer all day long. They have clothing stores coming in and you just put on the clothes and showing it back and forward in that showroom. That was as well. So I was working from early morning till really late. All those 3 jobs at the same time. I was doing all of it every day, weekends, evenings. I saved everything that I could. And then from there, I took that and I invested it right away. I was investing in, Panama City, in Panama, and Mexico, and Florida, and New York. And then I started renovating some properties that I flipped and made enough money to buy property. And then I realized, I don't really want to sell any of these properties. So I just started doing refi and pulling equity out of the properties and buying another one. And, 1 goes to 3 and 3 goes to 6 and that kind of.
And this whole time you're doing this alone with partners, or how are you building the business?
I was doing it alone, yeah.
Wow.
And then I did a little bit of angel investing as well. Not a whole lot, but I kind of
And the capital for angel investing you got from appreciation in real estate?
Yes. Yeah. So just saved all of that, lived very basic, very, very basic at the time. And it just took time. Yeah, of course it just took time. But I was like living in just a small studio the whole time for so long in New York. First I was living in the hostel and then in New York, and then this was before that, and I couldn't afford, to pay for the hostel. So one evening when I got back, this was when I first had moved to New York, and I didn't have paperwork, so I came back one evening to the hostel, and my little suitcase was at the front desk. So they were like, you haven't paid, and the guy had like avoided it a few days, so I should have known it was coming, but I hadn't thought about it that way. So kind of just ended up being homeless, living on the street of New York.
Wow. How old were you at that time?
And that's when I had just moved to New York. So I was like 22.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you came here by yourself?
And I came by myself. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a job. I didn't have papers. So I thought I was going to get a job as a bartender, though, because that's what I had been doing in London for a few months. I had done a little bit of the modeling, the showroom in London as well. I was trying to do a little of that. So I figured, okay, it's a good start so I can get the paperwork in the US to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was too stubborn. I had made my decision. I'm going to make it in America, so I can't move back.
What did making it look like for you? Making it in America, what did it look like for you?
I'm owning my own business, investing in real estate. Because actually, when I was sitting in my bedroom in Norway, I don't know what you call it, house arrest, right? Like when they say,
Yeah.
I had that a lot. So I was sitting in the bedroom, and I shared bedroom with my two sisters, but they were angels, so they never got any. So I spent a lot of time alone, and which was good. I was writing down my real estate portfolio at the time, and I was 13. I still have it, the book, and because it wasn't really the same way. Like my parents didn't have a computer, none of the things we have access to now. So it was. What's interesting was that it was Florida that I was like, okay, I'm going to own property in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and this area, which I now do own property in this area, which I already was planning way back then. So
what motivated the urgency?
I gotta say, just, we grew up very basic, and the fear in my parents of not being able to pay for the bills, to lose power, to not have heat in the winter, to have to be so careful and cautious. We never went out to eat. We never went to a restaurant. Like, I was dreaming about just going out to eat pizza, stuff like this. And my dad was working so hard. Like, he was really working so hard. And they really tried their best. But it really came down to a little more freedom and hopefully one day being able to help them a little bit better too. My mom always dreamed about also being able to go on vacations on the ocean or something. And now they do. They come and visit and stay with me in Florida because of that. So I think it just all of it all together, just seeing how they couldn't afford so many things, it kind of really made me realize. And, they were fighting a lot about money too, obviously. And I was like, I don't want to.
Where was the amount of money where you felt like you first started to have a sense of freedom?
I don't know if I still even feel like maybe fully freedom, but maybe now I do have it again, because now I'm going back to, as I was telling you a little earlier off camera, like very basic things makes me very happy now. Like now I'm in a stage where I just really just want to stay home with my dog.
Yeah.
I get invited to these amazing events, and, I could go or to the best restaurants, and I do it once in a while, and I have done it. But I love the basic of just staying home with my dog and having a beautiful sunset view, So yeah, so I guess maybe I do have, because I've kind of finally realized, like, oh, wow, I can afford to pay my electrical bill. I can afford to help people. So why am I, still like running around like a nut job and working so crazy and, I don't know, chasing and hustling after this and that.
Yeah.
So I'm back to a little more basic again. But it probably didn't come until about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
And then when you started creating companies, I know now we'll talk about You Need Tequila.
Yes.
But tell me about, before that. Like, was there any transitions from real estate to other entrepreneurial endeavors before coming with the tequila brand?
It was just the real estate I was doing and a little bit of angel investing. And then I started to kind of get more, like, I started listening to amazing podcasts, like The Passionate Few, like your own podcast. Yeah. And it really inspired me more and more. I also had a time around 2017, 2018. I was going through a really difficult time. So I almost had a year where I was actually just listening to podcasts and going on a silent retreat and a few of these things.
How was the silent retreat?
That was amazing. I need to do it again.
How many days was it?
It was a week.
Tell me about your 7-day-long quiet retreat.
At first, it's weird. The first 2 days is really weird because you turn in your phone, so you don't have a phone. I guess you could cheat and you could bring a fake phone, but I didn't even know. Like I knew it was a silent retreat, but I didn't realize, we're turning the phone in,
Yeah.
That's why they don't tell you, I guess. So, we turned in the phone, no TV, no talking to anyone. It was in Maine, so it was like all in nature, beautiful property, a huge property, nothing else around there, with like birds and, you know, horses and wild turkeys up in the trees. So this walking path and just like being in nature and doing that. And then we had like yoga classes, so stretching and stuff like that. But just being around, and it was all vegetarian and no caffeine and no alcohol, obviously.
Hey,
Yeah, so a good break, you know.
Yeah.
I really needed it at the time.
Hey guys, we'll get right back to this video in a sec, but first, I have a quick question for you. Given that the e-commerce industry is growing by the trillions year over year, have you ever dreamed of owning your own e-commerce business like many of the guests we've had on the show, but maybe you feel stuck on how to start? Well, if so, you're not alone. The truth is, starting and setting up your own online store can be incredibly time-consuming, complicated, and get expensive. Not to mention the hassle of researching top products and staying on top of market trends that make you money. Lucky for you, that's where today's sponsor, StoreBuild.ai, comes in. With StoreBuild.ai, you instantly get a free custom-built, AI-driven store loaded with 20 winning products and a custom theme that can help you generate sales. All you need to do is head to StoreBuild.ai, enter your info, then simply sign up to Shopify for free, choose your store's look and feel, and voila! They'll send you your custom-built store ready to generate sales. The whole process is lightning fast. Whether you're just starting out or want to grow, StoreBuild.ai makes launching an online store easier than ever. So why wait? Visit StoreBuild.ai, and in less than 5 minutes, you could have the e-commerce business you've always dreamed of. Thanks to StoreBuild.ai for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the show.
What do you feel like it refreshed in you or got you to realize?
I think just even being without your phone is so good for you.
Clarity.
Yeah. Just like, you know, being so addicted to the phone. And I'm not actually that bad compared to a lot of people. But yeah, of course, we all check the email constantly, right? And check messages constantly. So that's a really good reset for anyone, especially entrepreneurs, to just, and if you want to go on a new path maybe, or if you want to, you know, I don't know, that's something everyone should even do once a year.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Interesting. So then what gets you inspired to then start the tequila brand?
So then the tequila brand, I think it came from, you know, when I was working as a bartender, and there was a couple of brands at the time, but it wasn't organic, you know, mine is organic and in a gorgeous bottle. And it was just, but I started going to Mexico. I had a property down there that I was renting out, and I would spend time there as well. And I started going to the distilleries, and I really did fall in love with tequila. I only drink tequila and red wine, you know. Now I'm trying to step down on the red wine, but at the time, and I just feel good when I stay to just tequila, especially drinking neat or nice. And I would go to Mexico, and I would go and visit the distilleries. And then down there, they had like nice, smaller brands, or, you know, directly again from the distilleries, compared to the commercialized that are here, that are, you know, filled with additives and pesticides and stuff. So I really still felt that there was a gap in the market for just a really good, you know, organic tequila that didn't have any of that crap in it. So I would bring back samples at first, and I did blind test with a lot of the commercial brands on the market. I'm not going to name any, but and everyone would pick mine, you know. I kind of aged it longer too.
How did you formulate it? Because I know it takes time to develop the product.
Yeah.
How did you formulate Uni?
The difference really is that I'm using both new and aged barrels. That makes a difference. And even my Blanco, you legally can age it up to 59 days and still call it a Blanco. So other brands, I don't know of any other brand than me that does that. They bottle it immediately. So just by getting it aged for that just under the 60 days, gets it smoother already by having it on the barrels for that. So it's almost like a baby repo, my Blanco. You know,
That
it's
makes sense.
more depth to it and more smoother that way.
How many iterations of development did you go through? Like how many different recipes for it did you go through testing?
It took a while. But actually what even took longer, because I didn't really get it started before, like right before COVID. And the bottle and the cork stopper and the design of that is all like organic silk screening, that one took me actually longer because, like I told you, when I decide to do something, I go all in. And the design of the bottle became so important to me. So the first one had like the diamonds on both sides of the bottle. And another one, I had it also on the side in case they wanted to have it sideways. And then it took a really long time to get a TTB approved to not have any of the crap on the front of the bottle with the information. So you'll see all of the other brands, they have the 40% alcohol by volume and all of that stuff.
Right.
So that took a long time to get all of that approved.
Yeah.
Between the CRT in Mexico and the TTB here in the US, it just...
Wow.
So, yeah, I spent it took like almost 2 years even before.
What made you pick that idea before any other? Because I'm sure you had other entrepreneurial ideas. What made you decide to go all in on this one?
Interesting, yeah. I mean, the love for tequila and the love for Mexico, just like going down there and loving it. And if you choose to drink in life, it's like the healthiest, way to drink it. And it took me a much longer time. It was in my head for so long, I think, from like I was a bartender and when I started actually going down to when I could afford and be able to do it. So a lot of brands had come on the market, and now a lot of brands, of course, are on the market. At the time, there wasn't that many. There still aren't, I don't even know if any organic brands that are, ethically sourced and all of that. So, but yeah, definitely a whole lot more now, obviously, on the market in general than when it started in my head over 10 years ago.
And how did you start getting it into stores and restaurants? Because I know you're quite the hustler.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, because I'm sure that's, whether people are starting a, alcohol product or any other industry, like one of the hardest things is to start getting for those first customers getting in the door. How did you sell your first account? Like, what were you just cold calling, going into restaurants? Like, how did you approach that, or how do you think about that?
Yeah, so no one picks up the phone, I've learned in hospitality, which I understand because everyone's bugging them. So they have 100 brands in every category possible, between whiskey and vodka and gin and everything else in between. And no one answers to email either. So I'm really going door to door. I'm going to everyone, and when I set my mind on something, I didn't give up on it. I will, and they say, oh, come back some other time to get rid of you. What they don't know about me is like, I will actually show up again. I will actually come back. So several of the places, like the Baccarat Hotel, I was going for over 6 months before I even got a meeting with the guy. And he would just keep saying, oh, come back in another month or whatever. And then eventually when I actually got to sit down and he tried it, and that's what happens with most of them. When they get to try it and they see the bottle, they love it. It's organic, it's so smooth, and it's a gorgeous bottle that stands out on the bar if you choose to have it at home or in the restaurant, obviously. And like, Carbone or same. Actually, Carbone was a suggestion which is starting, thank God, to happening to me now, suggestions from their customers. So then they'll contact me and be like, okay, we have a regular guy.
How do you get customers doing that? Just word of mouth?
That
Quality
totally.
product?
I didn't even know. This was a woman, actually. I didn't even, yes. And the same in a lot of these exclusive golf clubs that I'm in now in Florida as well. Same there. Bears Club, like a very hot
Bears
place.
Club, wow.
Yes.
I was just in Palm Beach. I was at the what is it called?
One of the
Old
golf.
Palm. Old Palm.
Old Palm, yeah.
Old Palm. It's one of the communities out there.
Yeah.
Beautiful community in Florida.
Beautiful places, like exactly these membership clubs and golf clubs. There's so much in Florida, and I'm especially in a lot in Jupiter and Palm Beach area. And so thank God for a lot of those. It's some guys are going to ask for it, and then they're like, oh, okay, we'll take it in because they have, one of these guys that is asking. But really, that's just kind of been happening a little bit the last year. Before that, it's me running around like a maniac and finally then I was getting into some, what I started realizing, it was so much work just to go after one place. So we'll get it into chains like St. Ambrose. So they have several locations between Palm Beach, New York City, and Hamptons. So then that's my market. It's really New York City, Hamptons, and Florida.
So how did you start getting those referrals initially? Just quality product, word of mouth?
Yeah, starting a little word of mouth already.
Who was your first account? Do you remember?
That was actually a local restaurant in Florida, in Jupiter, which I love this place and I go there often. So they kind of knew me. So they took it in, but they did love it as well, but they took it in. And then it just like slowly started getting it into some of the other ones. I would say as far as the big ones, maybe that was Baccarat, hotel. Yeah, that was like another big one. And of course, St. Ambrose, because they have so many locations.
How about Carbone?
And Carbone, yeah, that was only a year and a half ago. I got it in there, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
That's tough as well because, people can barely even get a reservation. And they also have it at Teresi, the sister restaurant at Carbone. So it's Major Foods now. I got it in with them. So that was the other plus. So thanks to this woman that I got it into Carbone, and then they introduced me, the Carbone people introduced me to the guy at Teresi.
Oh, wow.
Which I love, by the way. I don't know if anyone can get a reservation, but go early and sit at the bar because you can get the full menu. That's what I do even. I just go and I eat at the bar. Best pasta. Joe Rogan says the same, by the way.
Yeah. Where is it?
It's in New York City. It's on Mulberry Street in New York City.
What's it called?
It's called Teresi. Torris. Yeah, Teresi. And really good food. And of course, very good tequila that they have there. And then also Chateau Cece have it in Miami. It's also major food. So yeah, that's the plus. By getting it into one of them, and if it does pretty good and word by mouth, then they'll take it into all the other locations. So that's been more my focus now instead of just running one here and one there, because I pretty much still do it all myself, that part of it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, how many cases do you guys ship or make or plan to make in terms of scale? Because I'm sure those are the KPIs that you're focused on growing the company. It's hard to hit a critical threshold, especially in the alcohol business.
Yeah.
How do you think about that, the numbers and where you want the business to be scale-wise?
Yeah, it is hard always to predict. I think what I did with the first batch, like I ordered so much because it was right as COVID had started and it was such a delay on glass at the time. So I was like, oh, wow, so I better make a really big order then. So
Just in case, you don't have a chance for another shipment, yeah.
Totally, yeah. So I did that. So I did several thousand cases,
wow.
Which is kind of big for a new brand, right?
Expensive,
expensive. That's the other thing. The warehouse fee have gotten so expensive. So that was a lesson to learn because that actually went up way after COVID. Everything seemed to have gone up. The warehouse storage, because it's all air conditioned. And I have warehouses in California, Florida, and New Jersey right across from New York. So, but now my next thing that I'm planning on is to get it into the hotel mini bars, like even here in Vegas, like I'm now staying at Bellagio and it's like, look how many rooms. And
imagine.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So
how would you go about that? Getting inside of
I got to get some connections now. I got to start working on relationships. Yeah. And I'm just going to start reaching out to people that might know someone that knows someone.
Who usually makes the decisions for things like that?
Sometimes I think on a big deal like that, it would go pretty high up. But the plus about going one-on-one is that often just the bar manager might just make the decision on what to take in, if it's just like one bar, one restaurant. So that's why that's easier sometimes. And then, like, for example, with some of the other ones where I've gotten it in that have 20 restaurants, they have a beverage director, they call it. And they get bombarded from everyone because they're in charge of all the 20, 30 locations.
Right.
So in the hotel, I've kind of started getting the feel out.
To learn, yeah.
Yeah. But it can be everything from the head CEO to a beverage director, most likely. but they really do get bombarded. So I understand it, even though it's frustrated sometimes if I can't get a meeting, with them. But the other route I'm going right now is to also look for more strategic partners.
Yes.
So I haven't taken that on.
Who, not how. Yeah.
Yes, totally. So I've learned that from all of my mistake in the past, like, so much more split everything, the fun and the win-win for everyone, and getting on partners, even people that are in the hotel business, because I just know my product would be great for that. It's just a beautiful product and kind of the top shelf premium, as they call it.
Hey guys, quick question. Have you been enjoying this video, but you're thinking to yourself, man, I love this content, but I want to learn how to grow my brand or my business? Well, if your answer is yes, you're not alone. In fact, millions of entrepreneurs deal with this exact same issue. And it's something that I've learned the answer to from interviewing 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs around the world. And this philosophy that solves all that is a concept called who, not how. Now, the who, not how philosophy states that anytime you're stuck on the hows to get to the next level in your life, your brand, or your business, that there's always a who to help you get there. And it's for this exact reason that I'm super excited to announce that I've officially launched our brand new Passionate Few community to help you do exactly that. And yes, it's 100% free. Join me and the thousands of other entrepreneurs that can help you make your life, your business, and your dreams a reality. With no further ado, let's get back to the video.
Well, what's been the hardest part of creating the brand, especially as top shelf as it is the tequila?
If I knew it was this difficult,
Probably wouldn't have done it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's good and bad about my personality. I probably don't do enough research, but then I have the friends that do so much research that they're never going to start anything. Like I have one friend, she's never going to start anything because she is researching herself to death to where she's like, So I'm glad I don't have that, but also maybe I wish I had a little of it because maybe I sometimes don't research enough, but I think everybody with a business almost would say that, like, because it is hard. Lately, I'm hearing some people are talking about, oh, it's so easy. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't like when people say it's so easy. For me, it definitely was not easy. It really wasn't. I don't know. I need to maybe connect with these people that say that. But I disagree. I think it's hard, but that's also maybe why the fun of it, right? Because not everybody would do it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it.
How do you keep the energy for it? Because it's a lot of work.
I think I need to start going on more silent retreats once in a while because that stuff like that gets your energy up. So my parents just came and stayed with me, and that's like a nice little break because then I don't work as much as I normally would. So I actually do go in the moment and I do take them out for dinner and we do cook at home and do all of that. And then I'm like, that's okay to do that now for a couple of weeks. The old me wouldn't have done that. I didn't have the time or the money to even do that. But now I feel I do because now I'm a little more like, what's the rush? Enjoy life as well.
Slow down and smell the roses.
Slow down, yeah. And of course, I'm lucky. I go to Norway every July. That's a nice break. Even, of course, I'm on email and I deal with all the orders and stuff, but I still get like a peaceful time to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Times where I'm wishing that I had more like Mr. Beast energy in me, but I don't. I don't see how he does what he does. I got to take breaks. I really have to take breaks. And that gives me back the energy again. And really reminding myself where I came from and how lucky I am. And I'm like, living gratitude and the Tony Robbins, right? Like writing down. And if I do get those days where I'm down, which I do like everyone else, but just got to remind myself, like, what am I complaining? I can see, I can walk on the beach. I'm not in a wheelchair. Like, I'm so lucky. I have my dog. Like, he loves he's so happy, even if I'm gone for 2 hours. Like, he acts like he haven't seen me in several weeks. So, so I definitely, it just goes back to living in the gratitude. Yeah.
100%.
That's why now, like I was saying, I'm realizing now, and that's what I'm doing now. That's actually what I'm spending my time on now, is that more strategic partners, taking on investors that have other brands to team up with. I feel like I've taken it as far as I can, kind of on my own, pretty much. Of course, I have people at the distillery in Mexico and in the fields and all of that. But even hiring salespeople here, it's okay, you know, but they're going to hustle and struggle as much as I do. So it does go back to finding these connections that have the experience, have done it before. Just started this a couple of months ago now to do that, because it does go back to like, okay, I've taken it as far as I can. And then I need like now I'm at a level where I want to team up with someone so we can help each other and
Get to the next level.
yeah, to take it to the next level. Yeah.
What's the vision for the tequila brand into the future, Uni?
Yeah, into the future, like I said, I would love to see it in the hotels. I think that's the way to go for this brand, which would be a smaller, so then to make a smaller bottle. Either the 200, I'm talking to one big hotel and they wanted me to make the 200 milliliter bottle. So that's like a custom bottle.
How big are those orders for hotels if they order?
Massive. So that's why it's worth doing.
Like how many cases or how does it work usually?
Yeah, because this hotel, even though it's like one of the most luxury hotels in the world, they have like 600 rooms, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking a lot. Yeah.
Thousands of bottles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then on private jets, you know, and even like our flights, you know, like regular, like they don't even have tequila right now, most of them. They just have like the vodka and stuff.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of market opportunity.
Totally.
And do you have like, are you doing the biz dev or do you have a team who's out there like working on reaching more people and that kind of thing?
Just me right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where's your like, you know, mental peace in that? Because I'm sure that's a lot.
It's a lot. That's why now, because I'm in over 200, way over 200 accounts. I have a girl that does my social media because I'm not that crazy about social media. Like I'll check it and check in, but I definitely don't check it every day. So she does all of that. I trust her. But you know, so I have her and I have another girl because I sponsor a lot of charity events. I've done a lot of charity events. I continue to do it. So then I have both of them that helps me with stuff like that. So I shouldn't say, but the selling, I'm the only one doing. I had one guy in Hamptons for a while that was helping me out with all the accounts I had gotten, and he added some accounts. He decided to retire. He had worked for another brand. He's 70 now. But yeah, so that's the other thing, to get more like that. But yeah, it's pretty much just me that's been doing the selling. So it's a
Wow.
lot. Yeah.
That's wild. Now, for you, is it something that, you know, is something that you want to see sort of maybe exit one day, or is it something you see yourself running, or maybe sister products? Like, what's the vision in terms of the company long term?
Yeah, I would say, you know, exiting it to the right group would be amazing. Anyone that have a portfolio of other brands, I think it would be a nice addition for someone. Maybe they have whiskey and gin and they don't have a tequila brand in their portfolio, you know. I think that would be a good way. If I stay involved or not, I would be open to both, but you know, it would be nice to be involved, but to be less involved than what I am now. Because, yeah, I don't know. I can go on and
What stops you from hiring the right people?
I think it's just capital right now, since I haven't raised the capital.
Yeah.
So I'm still 100% owner, and I haven't raised any capital. So I've done that. Yeah, but that's why that's kind of now.
Trusting the right people is the next step. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's good when you get the right people on board, but you also got to make. I don't know. I'm so responsible. My Norwegian in me, right? Like it got to make sense for them too, and for everyone. And I like that's big too, right? But I think that would definitely be the way to go. Yeah.
Now, what do you think in terms of like, you know, people say, you know, the market's super saturated with alcohol or tequila or starting a new brand in that. What do you say to people who say, you know, why are you starting and growing a company in a saturated market? How do you think about that? Or are you just so in love with the culture and the product that for you it's fun and you enjoy competing in that space. I guess, how do you think about that when people say it's a saturated market?
Yeah, no, they're completely right. It's so much, but I feel like every category now in the alcohol is that way. If it's a whiskey or gin or vodka or tequila, because there's so many celebrities now doing it, right? So I think that's what changed. Even in the wine, rosé, or I'm seeing a new celebrity monthly starting something in different categories,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it will be. Mine is very different. Mine is very unique. I think like I went all the way, the extra mile with everything from the taste to organic. The bottle is prettier. It won double gold in the award, and just people that get to try it, they just truly love it.
They get it, yeah.
Yeah, they get it. So it's more that maybe cult following, of those people that are reaching out to me and emailing me, which I get all the time. And it's so fun. Like, oh, I was at Mar-a-Lago and I had your tequila,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
or this place or that place. So it's like, that's nice to hear, right?
And are you constantly updating the product? Or not necessarily? Once you have a great recipe, you can kind of distribute it.
Yeah. No updating on anything. The other thing for me that would be, but that's why I'm wondering a smaller bottle for it. I only have that Blanco and the Añejo, so I actually skipped the Repo, which is also obviously a very popular category, is to go with a Repo to do that. So yeah, that would be down the road. But I think like more important, I only have distribution right now in Florida and New York, even though I ship online. So luckily people can buy it online on unitequila.com, and I ship to 45 states that way. But other than that, as far as in the restaurants and places, it's only New York and Florida. So I think going to Vegas again that would be great here. So
very awesome, very cool.
Yeah.
Now, what about in terms of you as a leader? When you look at the landscape of tequila products and different competitors out there, what do you think are the things that separate tequila brands that will have longevity versus ones that don't?
Good question. Interesting.
Because there's a lot of brands that come and go.
Totally.
Especially with celebrities, right? They come in, it's hot for a couple months and it disappears.
Yeah.
But in the category space, I'm sure you're thinking about longevity.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what are the levers, or how do you think about that?
Wondering if some of them are growing too fast, though, So I have really only stuck to New York and Florida, and for these, almost 4 years now that I have had it. And so many are always, oh, I'm in Tennessee. Where's your tequila? I'm like, I don't have Tennessee right now, Nashville, and places like this, right? So it's always like, I think it's good to listen to your consumers and customers, but in the end of the day, you kind of do know if you're ready and what's the best for the brand.
Right.
So you want to grow it, but you don't want to grow it maybe too fast, because I see people do that mistake in different categories where, they took it everywhere. And not only that, but even the ones that are doing well by doing that, can they keep up with the demand and have the inventory to make sure that the places that are ordering it, they will get it, that you have enough stock to fulfill all these orders too. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people who, like, when they see alcohol or they see, building a brand in the tequila space, do you think a lot of people have a misconception as to how much work it takes to actually do it?
Oh, totally.
Because what are the levels of it? Number one, you need manufacturing the actual product. You need to make the product. Then you need to make the actual container.
Yeah.
Then you need to make the actual, figure out the logistics. Then you need to test product. Then you need to trust the supplier. Like, there's so many layers.
Yeah.
What are, like, if someone's looking to start maybe not just this type of business, but any type of parallel business similar, what are the steps that you found? And I guess what advice would you have for someone to maybe save some of the heartache that you've had?
Yeah, the spirit category particularly is the most difficult, because people that have a vineyard, they can legally then ship to customer directly since they have a vineyard. We can't do that. So the way I do it now, even though I have it on the website, it's still through a liquor store that will ship it all out. So I can't like do it directly. It's the 3-tier system, as they call it. So you always got to go through the distributor and then liquor stores. So it's so many steps to it.
Yeah.
That part. And then especially with tequila, the importing process to get the approvals in Mexico and to ship it into the US, then having to warehouse it. So there's much more steps to the spirits, and again, especially tequila. Because if you make a vodka in the US, at least you don't have the importing part of it and all those permits for the importing, right?
100%.
But it's still difficult. It's still a very difficult category, but I did it, so anyone can do it, of course.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Very cool.
But it's hard work. It is hard work.
Yeah. A labor of love, though.
Yeah, totally. Fun when you do it and when you can do it, and getting a good product. And so it is all worth it. But I don't know. I'm wondering if that's with everything almost in life, though. Isn't everything sometimes like, oh, it was a little more work than I expected, maybe?
Yeah, or a lot more work. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Now, for you, like when you look at, for example, people online or social media, they talk about building a brand. How important do you look at the social media side of things for building a brand? Like, do you guys get orders because of the social media with your tequila? Or is a lot of it more so word of mouth, people trying it, testing in stores? I guess what part of brand building with social media helps grow the business, if at all? Or if you're still just kind of starting that process?
Yeah. I thought it was going to be more through social media and on the website and people buy directly online. But it actually have more been through the stores and the restaurants and stuff that people will email and ask, oh, where can I get it?
Wow.
And they saw it in a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
But I, obviously I'm trying now more and more to do, maybe I didn't do so much. I would say it's been more the last year that I am now even starting to focus a little more on the social media and stuff like that as well. So I haven't really done marketing within that field as much as I could be doing. But I would say for me, it's more the word by mouth and the restaurants, especially. Even though it's so delicious by itself to just sip it, I've gotten it now on more places, like on the menu with a really good cocktail. Like the Añejo is delicious in an old fashioned, but you don't even need to put the sugar with this kind. You just put the orange twist, maybe a few drops of the bitter, and that's it on a big ice cube. That's how I drink it. So that's also like places like Tiger Woods restaurant. They have it on the menu. A lot of these now are starting. So that's...
Wow, very cool. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool. And where can people, again, find it if they want to get it? I know you have it on the website.
Yeah, I would say unitequila.com. They go there, and on the middle, when you scroll down on the page, it says buy now. And that's the link where they can buy it. And it ships to, at least 45 or 47 of the states. There's only 4 or 5 that legally you can't ship in the US, which is like Pennsylvania and maybe Utah, right? Like some of those crazy states that don't allow it, but most of them, yeah. So, and then the shipping is only like 2-3 days from order. So it's really the easiest and the best way. So that's, I think also a lot of people, like, they don't realize that they can buy it online and actually get it shipped.
Yeah.
Because it was harder, and now there's been other ways to figure that out through distributors and the liquor stores, like I said, that I've teamed up with, that they are the ones doing it. So yeah.
Very cool. Now, do you think that most people who like would try the alcohol, like say people, why should people try your tequila? Because say people have their preferences, they already like this brand or that brand. What do you think, in a nutshell, your brand does different for people who maybe haven't tried it yet, or maybe are about to try it after seeing this podcast?
Yeah. Well, I personally, of course, think it's the best, but I think
You're biased.
I am, totally. I think it's like so much smoother. It's great as a gift because the bottle just is beautiful and people love it when they try it. But yeah, it's just smoother. And then being organic, having an organic tequila that is not filled with all the crap. So if you want to feel better, I can do a discount code for your audience.
Yeah,
with,
absolutely. Yeah.
With Omar, with the discount code Omar for 20%. So if anyone want to try it out, and feel free to shoot me an email as well, metta@unitequila.com, and I reply. I reply myself as well to the emails.
Very cool.
So yeah.
And we'll put that email down below.
Yes.
I have one more quick question for you before we wrap.
Yes.
That is, you've talked about your story, you've talked about your awesome brand, but talk to me about your advice for people who are maybe the younger version of you back in Norway, who maybe men or women or whatever at any age or any place in the world, who look at your story about taking a chance on your dreams. What advice would you have for that person who's maybe stuck, trying to figure out how to make their life work? Maybe they're overwhelmed with debt. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to, figure out their next business move. Whatever it is, being on this side of the fence, what advice would you have for someone who's maybe the young Metta back in Norway who needed some guidance?
Yeah. Definitely if you're young, I would say if you're young and healthy, then you're so blessed and lucky because you have a lot of energy still, just like I did. So I would, meaning like if you don't have a lot of money, I would say take on an extra job and save up money. And then if you're living somewhere in the middle of the country and you want to move to a bigger city and you have dreams where maybe you want to be a ballet dancer or a singer, or move to wherever that location is going to bring you closer to that goal so you can be surrounded by other like-minded people. I think that's like so important to do that. And even if that means that you got to take on a second job or an extra job, at any age too, if you're blessed to have your health still and you can do that and have the energy to do that, and save it up and move wherever you need to move to get closer to your goal, to start something, or if it's a little bit job out of the ordinary. And again, if it's a bigger city to move to for a while, so you can, align and get the relationships to meet other more like-minded people like that. Definitely read all the good business books and, what's the Carnegie one that and how to
Win friends and influence
win friends
people.
and influence.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. And Think and Grow Rich, obviously, Napoleon Hill. It goes back to these books. Tony Robbins, absolutely. I actually didn't do Tony Robbins until 2020.
Wow.
I had read his books and I thought, that's enough to read the book. So if anyone have the money to go to one of his seminars, UPW or Business Mastery or any of it, that was a game changer for me. Just like really pumps you up. Like that's another thing I got to do again soon.
Yep.
That's a little next level. So that came later on for me too. But in the meantime, read all those books. The 7 Habits of Wealthy People or whatever it's called, that other book.
Yeah.
The 4 Agreements, just like really inspiring books, and listen to podcasts like Omar's podcast.
Hey, thank you so much.
That one, and Ed Milet, obviously. I love Ed Milet. That was another one. I was listening to his podcast as well back then, and I still do. And Tom Bilyeu and Lisa Bilyeu, like just impact theory,
That's right.
Really, really, because even for me, like I wasn't maybe able to hang out with people like this, but I still felt like, they're mentoring me because I'm listening to these guys. They're constantly in my ear every time driving, got all their books. Is it The Power of One More at my Let's Book is?
Yep,
Yeah,
The Power of One More,
loved it. I have that one on Audible, as I'm driving, either podcast or these books. I would say that gets you inspired to move on to the next step of doing anything.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And how about your personal social media? Where can people find you?
My personal is Metta Tequila. Metta Tequila. Yeah.
I love that. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Metta, for being on. Any other final words of wisdom you'd like to share with the audience, or information on where they can check out Uni?
Just go out there and be yourself. And, I think feeling a little off, or I think that's a good thing. I wouldn't say that to people. Just go for it, I think it's a good thing to, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you and I could sit down and talk about it. Thank you so much,
Me
Metta.
too.
I appreciate
Thank
you
you,
being on the
Omar.
show. Guys, thank you for tuning into this episode. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow Metta, and check out UNI Tequila /Uni Tequila in the link down below. Thank you so much.
Thank you.